Our first candidate this evening is for district attorney, and the first candidate is candidate O'Malley. So if you please come forward and let's give him a warm welcome.
Good evening. I'm more of a fidgeter, so I may be walking around amongst you if you don't mind. My name is Dan O'Malley.
Okay.
Listen, my name is Dan O'Malley, and I'm running for the office of the district attorney. And I don't see one of my opponents, Lafayette, here, but she did call me today, and she wasn't feeling very well. She had lost her voice and whatnot. I want to tell you that first and foremost, I have started my campaign several months ago, in fact, as late as last summer, and I made a commitment that I will not say anything negative about anybody. Ms. Lafayette, if she doesn't make it tonight, she's a wonderful person who's a good Democrat and trying her hardest. And I just wonder if she doesn't make it, I want to applaud her for her candidacy. I've been a deputy district attorney for 14 years. I've been a Superior Court judge for 6 years. I've been in private practice for 3.5 years. I think I have what it takes, the experience that it takes to be your district attorney. I want to talk very briefly about my family and my background, and then I want to go back and although she said no questions, I always encourage questions. I prefer interaction with people before giving a lecture. But in any event for many of you, you might know that my family grew up in Contra Costa County. My father was, we all grew up in Concord, California. My father was the district attorney of Contra Costa County. Before that, he was the deputy district attorney, and he was even the first public defender of Contra Costa County. If you recall, back in the early 60s, most of the lawyers were contract lawyers, and while he was the deputy district attorney and a public defender, he also represented the county, well, there was no county council, but he represented the board of supervisors and all the peripheral canal issues that we're seeing again back in the early 60s. In any event, there's 9 kids. I'm one of 9 kids, 7 girls and 2 boys. I don't know if you guys know, but the women run the world, and I'm talking to you men. So, my sister Nancy is the district attorney of Alameda County, and my wife Mary Ann is the Superior Court judge. She's the presiding judge of our county. We both met the district attorney's office, and we tried every type of case from misdemeanor drunk drivings all the way to the murder cases. Her specialty were the tragic cases involving shaken babies that were murdered, as well as sexual assault cases where murders were. My specialty was the area of mental health defenses and murder cases, and what we commonly, and I'm actually published in the areas of how to cope with mental defenses on murder cases, what we call them in NGI, not guilty by reason of insanity. So I have a lot of experience in the area of mental health issues as it relates to criminal activity, and I'm very sensitive to the issue of that here we are in a situation where we see many, many crimes being committed, and if people are dangerous in the streets, we have to incarcerate them and try to protect our community. On the other hand, things in the area of what we call dual diagnosis situations where people have organic mental health issues and we're treating them and putting them in the revolving door called prison, and 3 years later we haven't treated the symptom, we simply have brought them back into the deal. That just absolutely has to change. I want to talk about my background as a judge. I was the Superior Court judge. I was on the executive committee for 3 years. We had a budget of $70 million, and we had approximately 400 employees. At the Pittsburgh court, I was in charge of all the human resource issues, as well as the budget issues and whatnot. I have tremendous experience in that now. But what's most important is what we read in the paper. The district attorney's office let's face it, it's broken right now. We've all read in the paper about what's happening over there. And one of the things that's a problem is that there's been budget cuts. When I was a deputy district attorney, as early as 2 years ago, there was 100 deputy district attorneys handling the cases, approximately 15,000 cases a year. Last month, they were down to 77 lawyers, and it's leveling off at about 85 lawyers. So you can see the stresses that they're talking about. But there's been a great disconnection with our community in the district attorney's office. And I'm sad, and I'm basically ashamed of it. Because there must be accountability in that office. There are some great lawyers, but if you've read, there's an allegation of sexual assault between 2 lawyers, a senior lawyer and a junior lawyer. There was a so-called fight between two senior attorneys, both of them very good friends of mine. And both of them on either side of this political debate involving us. That fight had nothing to do with politics. It was two guys who had strong egos and were getting after each other. And that was all done in front of the clerical staff and the young lawyers and people that are working very, very hard. It's intolerable. So that office has to break, and it has to change. The structure will change. We will not tolerate that type of behavior in there, because you, as members of our community, deserve better. I want to talk about basically what I believe is important in the community. Not only are we going to take care of protecting our community, and that's what I'm talking about, public safety first, but we must try to address the issues of prevention, not correction. It's a term I learned back in 1979. I've been using it with my kids. I use it at home, and I've been using it with my work. Prevention, not correction. I have a term that I'm trying to coin, and it's called no crime goes unpunished. If you recall, a short time ago last year, Bob Coakley suggested that he couldn't prosecute misdemeanors. Well, I don't believe in that, and it can be done. And I don't know if you've heard the term, but community courts. We have this wonderful opportunity for community courts in every city in our community. And that is to say, if a young kid down the street, some middle-class kid from Lafayette, or a kid in Richmond commits a little graffiti, thank you, commits a graffiti or something like that, it may be a small crime in the bigger picture. But for that kid, it might be a big crime. And for the victim of that crime, it might be a big crime. So we have these great opportunities to do community court where they earn a dismissal. Maybe they have to do volunteer work. They'd have to pay probably some sort of administrative fee if they or their parents have the ability to pay stuff. But they would have to earn their dismissal. And then we wouldn't have to see these crimes escalate from little itty-bitty crimes all the way up to serious violence crimes. We can do it. And at no cost to you taxpayers and no cost to the communities, because I've got a plan. I've talked to the police chiefs. The police chiefs would be willing to lend us detectives to help us in our investigative services if we put lawyers in their office. So that's to say, if I'm a deputy district attorney and I'm not in court that day, I might be working at the Lafayette Police Department, or I might be working at the Walnut Creek Police Department, or the Oakley Police Department, and just that afternoon. So you can handle the community, thank you. You can handle the community issues that might come up at the local level. There's been a disconnection between the district attorneys and the communities. For those of us who've been around for a while, it is the job of the district attorney to go to the community, not to hope that the community comes to the job. And I'll tell you right now, I was just in Antioch the other day, running out of time, I better talk about my endorsements. I'm endorsed by the entire law enforcement community. The Sheriff, Warren Roop, his predecessor, Senator Sheriff Dick Rainey, District Attorney Bob Coakley, his predecessor, Gary Yancey, my father, and still jury's out on whether he's going to endorse it, but trying. Every law enforcement agency that is endorsing, but for one, that's the Concord Police, where Mark Peterson is a city council member, are endorsing me. Tom Torlingson is endorsing me. The Central Committee, the Democratic Central Committee is endorsing me. The East County Central Committee is endorsing me. And I want to earn your respect. Thank you very much for your time.